Hello, I'm Adam Eccles, and if you need a little podcast, you've come to the right place. This is Need a Little Podcast. Today is Monday, 7th of July, 2025. And this is your irregular and irrelevant news pod from my author world. And a brief reminder, this is the personal podcast of me, Adam Eccles, author, podcaster, obviously tech pundit, techie nerd, hermit, whatever, me. That's a supplement to my blog and website and everything else I'm doing, just in case you're interested, talking about life, writing, weirdness, and whatever else bubbles up. So this episode, I suppose we can call them episodes, shall we? I don't know, episode, whatever. In my author update, this month, July 2025, my book 222222 is on a 99p deal on Amazon UK. Thank you, Amazon. And if you haven't already read it, or if you feel somebody you know hasn't read it and wants to, it's a cheap way to grab it. Actually, by the way, there is also now a free ebook on my website. If you sign up for my mailing list, you can get a free ebook which has got a few short stories in it, and it's got the first few chapters of I can't remember which books, but some of my books in there, right? So you can get a taster, basically. That's what it is. It's a free taster, but it's delivered by BookFunnel, and it will appear on your Kindle rather than having to, scroll through emails or websites or whatever on your phone. So I think it's much better to read on a Kindle, and I have been doing that for, I don't know, as long as they've been around. And yeah, so that's why I did that. So grab that if you haven't and you need it, or tell a friend. So what else? So in my latest blog digest or email digest weekly review thing, whatever, yesterday, I put that out yesterday. I put it out on Sundays if you want to grab that. And if you haven't already, you can also sign up for that on my website, adamecklesbooks.com. And in that, I had a little sneak preview of what I'm working on at the moment, book called Cold Heart October. I think I talked about it last time, but there's a cover and there's some pictures and some secret information in there. So if you haven't read that, give it a look. If you can't find it, I posted it on social media, and it's also in the you can get it if you sign up for the mailing list. Speaking of mailing lists, it also focuses on my short story club, the short story VIP club. So that's had some great feedback. Thank you to people who have read it and told me they loved the latest short story. It was lovely to hear. So thanks. Yeah. And I just want to remind people that I started it with a €1 or whatever your local currency is per month subscription. And then I thought, actually, I could deliver this as a BookFunnel book as well, but that costs some money, right? So that's if you want to have the monthly short story delivered as a Kindle book to your Kindle, you can update your subscription membership to €3 a month, and that will get you that. Just if you prefer. What else? So my book, Need a Little Time. Well, that was on a promo as well this month. But by the time you listen to this, it's probably not anymore, right? But, oh well, you probably read it already. But more importantly, it's got 1,999 reviews. I just checked a minute ago. And I'm like, oh, well, that's, somebody's got to be the 2,000th rating reviewer. So if you haven't, if you've read the book and you liked it and you haven't left a review, go do that and maybe you'll be number 2000. And I don't know, maybe if you can prove that somehow, maybe I'll mention it next time. So we put out another episode of Middle Rage yesterday, episode 28, and we talked about people's opinions and why they are sometimes unwanted. So if you haven't listened to that, give it a listen. We went extremely long, myself and Keith. I think it might even be the longest episode of Middle Rage. Every time we start it, we're like, we're going to keep it to an hour, and then we just don't. So we're not very good at keeping, I suppose, our mouths shut. But yeah, it was a fun one, and give it a listen. Middlerage.uk, or just search for Middle Rage on your podcast player of choice. So today's micro rant is going to be called Flailing for Views. And this is my hatred of excessive YouTube gesticulation. I've noticed this recently. I don't typically watch a lot of YouTube, but if I'm researching a bit of audio gear or some tech stuff or whatever, it seems like there's this sort of unwritten rule of YouTube that they must have constant gesticulation, and not just slight hand movements, but excessive, constant, sort of weird sign language. But it's not real sign language. It's just this sort of made up flailing, smashing around of hands. And even when it's like an unboxing thing and it's a top down video of the thing, they sort of put the gesticulation just in the view, and just like, this is so weird. What are you trying to prove? But it's something to do with the algorithm wanting constant motion, and I suppose that it's sort of saying, I'm engaging, this is important, you should watch this. But it's like, I find it distracting and exhausting to watch. It's just this constant thing, and it distracts you from what they're trying to say or what they're trying to talk about, right? So it's weird. It's like blue balls on a fish. Just looks out of place. I don't think people in real life tend to gesticulate that much, even if they're Italian, right? It's which I am. I don't do that. I don't think it's necessary. And a little bit maybe if it was subtle, if it was just natural, but it's the opposite of those things. So I think they need to stop it. It's micro rant time. That's my rant. Stop gesticulating wildly. I keep my hands just on my lap or whatever when I'm talking. I don't need to. I mean, that's why I prefer podcasts and audiobooks, because you can't see all the ridiculous gesticulations. There you go. So in tech news, thought I might talk about tech since I'm a techie. Would you believe that podcasts as a format are now 20 years old? I got an email from Apple. It's hard to believe. I mean, it's 20 years in the tech world is, millennia in real life. It's a long time. And yet 20 years, in the age of humanity is nothing, right? And yet, so for thousands of years of civilization, they had no podcasts. I mean, how did they survive? But now there are apparently 2.8 million. One of them is this one. But that's a lot of podcasts, right? I think those are active. There's probably more that have been and gone, right? It's mad. 20 years of people yapping into microphones. Another tech news thing is that Apple are prepping the next version of their operating systems. and they're all going to be called something 26 for sort of next year. And they're using this design style that they called liquid glass, and I think it's quite cool. It's basically what it sounds like, right? That the UI, the user interface, is going to sort of look as though it's made out of liquid glass, and you sort of slide things around, and there's these lenses, and everything gets this cool sort of effect. And as I say, I like that sort of interesting thing to look at, and to, your phone is in your hand all the time, right? Or most of the time, and you're scrolling this, that, and the other. It's important that it looks nice and feels nice. I think that people don't always value user interface as much as they should. But anyway, all of the tech pundits seem to be freaking out about it, like it's the worst thing that's ever happened. And it just got me thinking about, why are people afraid of change? And also there's sort of this phenomenon of fans of something. So if you're a tech pundit and you focus on Apple stuff particularly, then why do you feel the need to constantly criticize everything that they do? And I think this is like this is weird phenomenon that super fans of something feel like they must constantly pour hatred on something, but it's okay because they're fans, and it sort of proves how fanny they are somehow, because they remember the real thing that was before this new fancy bollocky thing, right? So it's not just tech stuff, it's movies, whatever, books even, maybe. It's like there's a sort of culture of, if you like something, then you're entitled to say it's crap. And I don't know, that doesn't sit well with me. I think people could do with realizing that it's just okay sometimes to like a thing, and that's the end of it. So give that a thought next time. But anyway, the next iOS will probably arrive around, iPhone OS, around the end of or middle of September, and I think it's quite cool. Anyway, all right. So let's have a little weird bit. There's a lot of weird things, and there's a lot of podcasts about weird things, and I listen to a lot of them, right? But I thought I'd try and include a weird thing that has happened to me, because then, I can talk about it. So this is something that I vaguely remember when I was maybe 14 or 15, so a long, long time ago. And it's now sort of in that part of my memory that's distant and fragmented, and I can't remember the details, but I remember the memory of that makes sense. So I was listening to the radio, I think, one afternoon. I don't remember if it was in the car or at home or wherever. But back then I did listen to radio. These days it's crap, so I don't. But anyway, so a song came on, and I think that the DJ said that this was new from whoever. I can't remember the band or the song title, but I remember that they clearly said that this is a new song, right? And I remember it because I already knew it. I'd heard it before. It wasn't just like, oh, I've heard it a couple of times before. No, it was like it was a well-known old song that, like equivalent of, say, Bohemian Rhapsody or Roxanne or something. That's sort of well-known. And it was just sort of in my head. And I could sort of hum along, and I knew what was happening and what would happen because it was an old song. But they said it was new. It was brand new. And, this was long before MP3s, probably didn't even have a CD player then. And, they said it was new, and I don't understand how, but I already knew it. And it wasn't like deja vu. It was sort of deeper, and yeah, it's just, Very strange. I think I put this in one of my books as well as a sort of vague aside, because it's still, to this day, I can't explain how I knew the song. I wish I could remember what it was, but I can't. But it's kind of weird. If you've had something like that happen, let me know, because I'm interested in weird things that you can't really explain. Okay, well, that's probably enough ranting for me for this episode. Thanks for listening. Let me know if you like this or don't like it. If you don't, then I suppose stop listening, right? But whatever. But you know, it's something to do, something to listen to, and yeah, you never know. It might entertain somebody. So thanks for listening, and don't forget to sign up for at least the free mailing lists, or have a look at the blog at adamecklesbooks.com. Subscribe to the Short Story Club if you feel that way inclined. Upgrade to an ebook every month if that's your preference. Listen to Middle Raged, and I don't know, tell a friend if you're talking about, you might want to listen to this weird bloke talking from the middle of nowhere in County Clare. That's all from me. Have fun, take it easy, and until the next time, cheers.